In today's video, it's all about the hamstrings. How do we get length and load into that muscle tissue? It's not just about stretching. It's about re-educating proper function and motion into the body. Now the hamstring muscles, well, there's three within the group. One is the bicep femoris, another is the semimembranosus and the semitendinosus. Now the muscles themselves originate at the sit bones, the ischial tuberosity, as well as about halfway down the femur. And they attach down into the lower legs across the back of the knee, the tibia and the fibula. So therefore the muscles of the hamstrings can, when they shorten, flex the knee as well as extend the hip. If you notice, both of those movements were when my foot was off the ground. What would it look like if the hamstrings were to contract when the foot is on the floor? That's a different story altogether. In fact, the function of the muscle is quite different than an open chain leg curl or, for that matter, rear kick or hip extension. Really what we're going to look at is how the muscle moves. Now, we've got the origin, ischial tuberosity and the femoral shaft, and we've got the insertions of the tibia and fibula. Now, you would think that in order to get length out of the hamstrings, we'd want both ends to move apart. And traditionally, that's what we've been told to do when it comes to stretching the muscle. But here's the kicker, is the muscles actually don't move that way when we walk or when we run. What really happens is both insertion, origin, travel in the same direction, only one's going a little bit faster. Regardless of which way they go, they both travel in the same direction. So, for instance, when the leg swings forward and you're about to strike the ground, the extension of the knee occurs coupled with a posterior tilted pelvis. But isn't that just the opposite of what we've been told to do when we're in a stretch class, where we bring the heel on the ground, we flex the foot upward, extend the knee, and we anteriorly tilt the pelvis, keeping the spine nice and lengthened? The result is a searing, burning sensation in the hamstrings, and there's very few people that would enjoy such an experience. In fact, most people won't do that because it doesn't feel good. And yet we've been told, oh, you've got to stretch out your hamstrings to improve your back or improve whatever. So let's take another look at this. If I extend my leg out as it relates to gait, running, walking, any type of motion, I will encourage my big toe off the ground. That will encourage extension at the knee. So already getting length. But now I'm going to push my hips back behind me and encourage a posterior tilt. Now, as the pelvis posteriorly tilts, that's coupled with flexion of the spine. So forgetting what I've been told in the past, I'm going to tuck my tailbone while my foot extends, my knee extends, my foot flexes, and I'm going to take both arms and reach forward and internally rotate my arms. And now I begin to feel load in the hamstring as it lengthens, and it feels a lot different. Actually, it improves the functionality of how my body is moving. From there, I might come out of it briefly and load into it. So now I've got shortening, contraction going on, concentric, and then I'm going to eccentrically load it once again. I can reach straight ahead, but I can also reach across toward the opposite side and drive my hips to the same side as the forward leg. In essence, trying to drive pressure to the outside aspect of my heel, or the posterior lateral portion of the calcaneus, which is exactly where we should strike when we walk. Now that's one way we're going to lengthen and load the hamstring, but remember, it also will lengthen as we load weight into it. And what's happening here is the pelvis is anteriorly tilting, pulling the ischial tuberosity away, while at the same time the tib and the fib are moving in the same direction back. So what we have now is loading into the proximal area of the hamstring compared to more load in the distal portion behind the knee. So both these motions here are going to teach the hamstring how to properly lengthen and load. I would say give that a shot a little bit. You can reach in different directions. Give it a little bit more frontal plane action, a little bit more transverse, than just simply sticking with a sagittal forward-backward action. And then walk around and see how the hamstrings feel. How's the ankle feeling? How are the hips feeling? Check in with the whole body. By lengthening and loading the hamstrings, did that improve your situation? Let me know.